Yeah, so today's Mother's Day. Yeah, you got some time left. You're good. It's okay. I was thinking during Nathan's announcement period that will be the last time I ever bring him a large coffee from Starbucks first thing in the morning. Like, wow. You should have been here first thing this morning. He's had a couple hours since the large coffee. That was fun. So today's message is going to be a bit of an interesting one because my week has been wildly scattered. I've been literally all over the place. Over the last 2 weeks, I moved my business home. So if you've been around for a while, you know that we recently, last fall, we purchased my childhood home, which has a shop on the property with the intentions of actually bringing the business home, which will free up some time and some energy for me to spend some more time here and focus on some other stuff in life and maybe actually be involved in my children's lives a little bit deeper. It was important, right? But it was a big deal because it's hard to take 1,600 square feet and bring it down to 800 square feet. Everything is everywhere. Like I was trying to find this one little thing to complete one little tiny job, and it took me hours and hours and hours to figure it out, and it was driving me nuts. And the hardest part, everything's really expensive, so I have to be really careful moving stuff, so that's why I didn't ask for any help, because I got to do it myself. I know what I have to be careful with. I know how to move this stuff properly. So as you can imagine, I'm rather uncomfortable this morning. Really uncomfortable this morning. Very sore. You jumped ahead. That's not jumped ahead. It's cheapers. Listen, woman. Actually, that was really funny. So when Carrie did that this morning with the sleeping bag, Hope leans over. She says, "Aren't you glad you married a good and obedient wife?" I'm like, right. Yeah, that's what I did. so anyways, I found myself this week, squirrel. Man, I found myself this week standing in the middle of the new shop with, like, literally in about that big, staring at all of the stuff that's everywhere. And I just, what do you call that? Executive functioning? Is that what you call that? I could not figure out where to start. Like I'm like this the whole time, trying to figure out what to do. I couldn't get my body and my brain to do anything. I just stood there, turning around in a circle, trying to figure out where to go. So then I was like, okay, all right, stop spinning around, looking at all of the insurmountable things that you have to try and figure out, and pick something up. So that's all I did. I walked over and I picked up one thing, and I threw it in the garbage, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to come back and I'm going to pick up the next thing, right? And then I was like, I got to do this. So I walked over here and I started doing that, and then I, completed that, and I went back to go pick up the thing. So picked up a thing, threw it in the garbage, and as I was walking back to go pick up more things, I found something else to do. And I did this wild, weird spinning around circle, just randomly doing things that needed to be done, but not actually really focusing on a specific task, just trying to do everything. And I did this all day. But the funny part was in my scattered ramblings of trying to figure out what to do, I actually accomplished a whole lot without the intentions of actually accomplishing anything. It was just like, I have to start, right? I had to do this one little bit of a thing just to get moving, right? And that was I think that was Monday or Tuesday. I don't even know what day. I know today's Sunday, so that's good. But I think it was Monday or Tuesday, and then I realized the following day, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Now I have a little bit of room here that I can do some stuff. One of the things that made it really hard, it was pouring rain, so I couldn't move anything outside because it would get soaked. So I'm having to climb over stuff to get this done. And I'm not an overly tall person, so climbing over things is also very insurmountable. But yeah, I finally had all of these things to do, and I actually accomplished a few things. I got some stuff put away, and I got some garbage cleaned up, and I got this odd thing, moved over here and that over there, and it put me in a position where Rob could come over and help me with some stuff on Thursday, which was great, because then yesterday, we spent the whole day outside, as you can tell, and got more stuff accomplished, right? So that weirdly leads me into a recap of Nathan's message the other week, where he's talking about the Good Shepherd. So today, I'm actually preaching on the Good Shepherd, and it was a little bit weird at Easter time because he kind of stole some of my thunder, right? I was like, how do you do the same message twice? That's weird. So I started reading the passage, and it kind of threw me off, and I was thinking, okay, so, all right, scattered brain, what makes a good shepherd? So I kind of was like going down the list. What makes a good shepherd? Okay, so someone with strong legs, right? Nathan said it's a couple hundred acres that these guys got to walk and chase after these the sheep. So strong legs, that's a good one. Good sense of direction. That might be another good thing, important thing to be or to have as a good shepherd. A good understanding of sheep, like a good understanding of whatever cattle that you're doing. Sheep, should know about sheep if you're going to do. Oh, a slingshot. That's one we hear about in the Bible, right? You should have a slingshot, not like one of those ones. You're not allowed to have those in Canada, but like the spinny one with the rock and things, right? That's important. Good set of sandals, kind of like me. I'm embracing my summer weather. A nice cloak. That's something we see in pictures all the time. Nice cloak would be a good thing to have if you're a shepherd. One of those cool shepherd's hooks. You always got to have a shepherd's hook. What do you use that for? I know what I would use it for. Right? What about, a hat. Should have wore one yesterday. Right? That would be a good one. A hat's good. Good beard. Yeah. All the pictures have a good beard for the shepherd. Right? But that's not true because most of the shepherds in the Bible anyways were like 14, so they were kind of not like some 14-year-olds like myself. I had a good beard, 14. That's why I lost my hair at 19. Right? Lots of patience, that's a good one. And I was thinking, like a really good, it's dangerous, right? So a good strong set of eyeballs. Right? So you could see everything that's going on. That's important. And some serious intestinal fortitude. Right? Like a good shepherd, he's born looking like this, comes out looking like that. See, being a good shepherd, it wasn't an easy job. Being a shepherd's not an easy job. You're out there in the middle of nowhere facing the elements, right? It's cold in the desert, right? It's also hot in the desert. And you're stuck out there 24/7, you're not going to go take a break, right? It's dangerous. There were thieves and cattle rustlers and burglars, like guys that actually would attack you when you were out there. There's wild animals, we have some biblical references to bears and lions, right? Greg Keener says in his book, the IVP Bible Background Commentary, it says, during the winter months, sheep were kept inside a pen at night, and the pen usually had a stone wall, which might have briars, like thorny bushes on top, right? And the Jewish law distinguished thieves from robbers. The former broke in, whereas the latter often lived in the wilderness and assaulted passers-by. Shepherds continually had to guard against losing sheep to either kind of enemy. So, an interesting thing is the shepherd would actually act as a gate to this pen. So he would lay down in front of the opening to the pen, and he would protect from anything coming in or going out, for that matter. That's pretty dangerous, right? Something interesting that I read was that the owners of a flock would often hire out, they would hire, instead of just being the shepherd themselves, they would hire the job out to other people. And the hired person, they weren't actually required to protect against animal attack. They were required to protect against burglars and like thieves, right? But not against an animal attack. Exodus 22:12 actually has some laws in place. It says, but if the animal was stolen, the person must make full payment to its owner. The employee would have to pay for the animal being stolen. But if the animal was attacked and ripped apart and the torn body is brought as evidence, no payment needs to be made. That's interesting to me. Okay? So, again, the shepherd, he's out there in the middle of nowhere, and there's 200 acres he's got to watch. He's watching over all of these things. And think about it. Did you know that David, King David, was actually a shepherd? We don't talk about that. We never talk about the fact that David was actually a shepherd. right? So 1 Samuel 17 says, when the Israelites saw Goliath, every one of them ran away terrified. Now the Israelites, soldiers, had been saying to each other, do you see this man who keeps coming out? How he comes to insult Israel? And David asked the soldier standing by him, what will be done for the person who kills that Philistine over there and removes this insult from Israel? Who is that uncircumcised Philistine? That was a pretty big insult. That he can get away with insulting the army of the living God. Don't let anyone lose courage because of this Philistine, David told Saul. I, your servant, will go out and fight him. And Saul says to him, you can't go out and fight this Philistine. You are still a boy, but he's been a warrior since he was a boy. Your servant has kept his father's sheep, David replied to Saul. And if ever a lion or a bear came and carried off one of the flock, I would go after it, strike it, and rescue the animal from its mouth. And if it turned on me, I would grab it by its jaw, strike it, and kill it. Your servant has fought both lions and bears. This uncircumcised Philistine will be just like one of them, because he has insulted the army of the living God. David was probably 14, 15 years old at this time. Okay? This is a massive, pivotal moment in the story of David, and for that matter, humanity. That's a big deal, right? He sees fear in the Israelites that are around him when he's standing there. This is an army that he's standing with, right? He sees this insurmountable Philistine army. They say, some of the commentaries say that the Philistine army was actually about 5 times larger than Saul's army, right? But they were used to fighting in the plains, whereas Saul's army was used to fighting in the mountains, like in the hill country. So that's why there was this back and forth kind of thing, weird thing going on, right? And it says that, obviously Goliath was a giant of a man. He wasn't my height by any means. And still, David makes this choice. So quick little backstory here, right? We have the Israelites who have been fighting and going back and forth with the Philistines for about 40 days now, okay? And Goliath, who's a loudmouth, would come out every morning, and he'd scream and yell and insult God and insult the Israelite army. And he would challenge anyone to come out and fight him, right? It was a way that armies often would solve these wars without losing a whole bunch of people. The best fighter from one side would fight the best fighter from the other side, right? And whoever won would be the winner, and the armies would not have to fight each other and die. But no one came because Goliath was this great, big, huge giant of a man. He was big and bold. He was loud. He wore like really super shiny army. The Bible actually says that it weighed about 126 pounds. So if you can imagine, you're going to go into battle wearing army that weighs 126 pounds, right? And then he's got a spear, and the tip of the spear, it says in the Bible, was 15 pounds. That's unbelievable. Can you imagine some guy standing there 9 feet, 10 feet tall, carrying a giant spear that the head of it weighs 15 pounds? Oh, by the way, he's got a big sword too. Because that's not enough to think, hey, maybe I shouldn't go fight that guy, right? It's no wonder no one comes out to face him, right? Hey, what about you, Patrick? You going to go out and face him? No. See that guy's spear? Not a chance. Not a chance. But here's an interesting point that I caught on to when I was reading it. It seems to me that the Bible doesn't specifically say that God told David to go and fight Goliath. I couldn't find it anywhere. I'm not saying that's not the case, but I couldn't find it anywhere. It wasn't in there. I even reached out to Nathan and was like, I can't find this. So this 14-year-old boy is kind of like, yeah, I'm going to go fight that guy. No big deal. I kill bears and lions with my bare hands. I'll go fight them. Why not? David obviously is making a choice, and it's clearly dangerous, right? Clearly it's a dangerous choice, but he's in some way following some kind of leading. He knows that this is something that he's got to do, right? See, Like a good shepherd, David is willing to walk headfirst into danger. Not without fear. There had to be some level of fear, but with the knowledge that the fear was worth it, right? It was worth experiencing that risk. Nathan last week, he spoke about crisis and how some of those crisis moments in our lives are dangerous moments, right? Where we have to make a choice and it's like, oh, I could lose everything. It could all go really bad, but I got to do it. That simple act of following is dangerous. David is choosing a different story, a different path to what was behind him. It's dangerous to our status quo, to the way that we've always done things, right? It's dangerous to who we are, and David's choice made him a different kind of shepherd. Like his story didn't end there. His story gets even bigger and more amazing. So I want you to hold that loosely in your hand for a minute. Well, several minutes. And we're going to shift gears slightly, and we're going to go to John 1, 10 through 10. It says this. It says, this is from the Message, because I like the language a little bit better. Let me set this before you as plainly as I can. If a person climbs over or through the fence of a sheep pen, sorry, this is Jesus speaking to the people around him, obviously. Instead of going through the gate, you know he's up to no good, a sheep rustler. The shepherd walks right up to the gate. The gatekeeper opens the gate to him, and the sheep recognize his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out, and when he gets them all out, he leads them and they follow because they are familiar with his voice. They won't follow a stranger's voice, but will scatter because they aren't used to the sound of it. Jesus told this simple story, but they had no idea of what he was talking about. So he tried again. I'll be explicit then. I am the gate for the sheep. All those others are up to no good. They're sheep rustlers, every one of them. But the sheep didn't listen to them. I am the gate. Anyone who goes through me will be cared for, will freely go in and out and find pasture. A thief is only there to steal and kill and destroy. I came so they can have real and eternal life, more and better life than they ever dreamed. More and better life than they ever dreamed. I got stuck on this whole good shepherd, gatekeeper, gate thing, and I rolled it around over and over and over in my head. Remember throughout John 9, we have this whole thing where the Jews are standing there and they're really questioning who this guy is, who this Jesus guy is, right? So John 9 is very much about the divinity of God, okay? And they're saying, like, is he God or not? Is he a prophet or not? Is he the Messiah or not? Is Jesus divine or not? That's the whole encompassing story of John 9, right? Because they didn't know who Jesus was. They had some ideas, and some of them were not very nice. But Jesus is the good shepherd. Okay? Interesting point. Jesus is also the gatekeeper, and Jesus is also the gate. That messed me up a little bit for a while. And I was kind of like back and forth, online. I was looking some stuff up, trying to see how I could make it fit and really understand this whole weird dichotomy between the gatekeeper, the gate, and the good shepherd. And then I came across John 14, 5 through 7. It says, Thomas asked, Lord, we don't know where you are going. The disciples had just figured out that Jesus was leaving. Jesus is telling them, hey, I got to go away, right? Then he says, Thomas says, how can we know the way? And Jesus answered, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you have really known me, you will also know the Father. From now on, you know him and have seen him. Jesus the good shepherd, Jesus the gate, Jesus the gatekeeper, and Jesus the gate. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. This is weird three-in-oneness, right? This is that three-in-oneness, this thing that leads us to these crisis moments and acceptance of danger, of changing our way of doing things. Because Jesus is the way, and Jesus is the truth, and Jesus is the life. But remember, it says that they will know him by his voice, what he will sound like, right? And they will run away if they don't recognize his voice. So, what does a good shepherd look like or sound like? So I got stuck on that for a little bit. See, like, this past 2 years, we faced a whole bunch of stuff that claims to be of God and from God and for God and all of that stuff. And even now, this past week, we're facing some stuff that's claiming to be that as well. So how do we know what's Jesus and what's not? How do we know him? And it made me think, like, we go back to the fruits of the spirits in Galatians, right? Galatians 5:22 through 23. The fruit of the spirits is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. We'll know if it's of Jesus by that, because that sounds like Jesus to me. I recognize that voice. A thief is only there to steal and kill and destroy. I came so that they can have a real and eternal life, more and better life than they ever dreamed of. That more and better life than they ever dreamed of is the key point here. More love, more joy, more peace, more patience, more kindness, more generosity, more faithfulness, more gentleness, more self-control, and more babies. More than we can ever dream of. What would it look like if we had that more love in our lives? More patience in our lives. More gentleness in our lives. More self-control. Listen, I think it's important to understand that all of those mores that I just listed, they're a choice for us. We can choose to do that. Obviously, God is calling us to do these things and to be these things and to lift these things, right? But we are the ones that have to make the choice to say, you know what, no, the way that I'm doing this, the way that I've been living life, is eventually going to lead to some level of destruction. It's not going to be good, right? If I'm speaking from experience, if I'm sitting at home brooding over or that's not the right word, being angry about all the stuff and stupidity that I'm reading online, that's not leading me to more love, joy, peace, patience, or anything like that, right? It's not. It's not possible to make change without us making the choice to change. We have to take a step, right? We have to do one thing to get started. Right? Hey, I know I got to clean up my shop. Man, everything's all over the place. I'm going to pick up one thing and get started. I don't know what that one thing is for you. I don't. I know for me what it is sometimes. So I want to ask you, if you're feeling good with your relationship with God right now, what was the crisis moment that got you to this point? Have you thought about going back over that at some point in time and just be like, yeah, that was a moment. That was the... When we think about testimony, people are like, so when did you come to Jesus? I'm like, I know when I was face down on the floor, sobbing my eyes out, trying to pull myself into the carpet as far as I possibly can because I was tanking my life. That was the moment. Crisis, danger. Have you thought about what your moment was? That moment of crisis in your life and that choice to follow Jesus, that was a dangerous moment for the way that you were living life. Because we want to have destruction of the old way of living life and gain new life in Jesus. Is today, here's another question for you, for anybody that's watching online, is today that crisis moment? Are you sitting here going, man, I'm really struggling with my drinking and I got to do something about it today? Is today that crisis moment? Man, I'm really struggling with lust or anything along those lines and I got to do something about it. Is today that crisis moment for you? And here's the other thing. We've been talking for years now about, at least I know for myself, I've been talking quite a bit about vulnerability, especially as a guy. That's difficult things for us as guys, for us to be as vulnerable, right? This crisis moment means taking a chance, right? I have to take the chance and say, you know what? I'm screwing up. I got to go and talk to somebody because I need extra help and I can't do this by myself. Are you willing to make that decision, to take that step? The new way of doing life, because the old way needs to be destroyed. The funny thing is this is where I ended my message until about 2 hours ago. And I was like, man, that's bang on. It's really good. Good job, Roy. Nice job. Man, you can write a good message for Jesus. All about serving Jesus. But the whole time, I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, there's missing something. Not happy. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. Could be good. It's fine. You're good. No, there's something else there, right? I wrote it down. I said, is this where you want to end? And I wrote it down and I just sat there and I had her come over and she's like, hey, do you got 3 minutes? I'm like, nope. She's like, can you give me a hand for 3 minutes? No, I can't actually. Because I got to figure out, is this the end? Right? And I'm like, okay, so is there something about us being called to be a good shepherd for those around us? Oh, okay, that's an interesting question. As Christians, are we called to be good shepherds? Right? What would that look like for us? If we are meant to be good shepherds for those around us, right? Be the person that somebody could be vulnerable to if they need to be and express the fact that they're having struggles. That's one. Are we going to show that peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control? See, it says, like, being called to that good shepherd thing, it needs for us to show fruits of the Spirit, right? But for us to show fruits of the Spirit, that's part of our sanctification process, right? It doesn't happen like that, where it's like, hey, I'm a Christian now, and I've got all my shit figured out. Look at how amazing I am. I can't even remember all the fruits of the Spirit. I have to write it down. It's this sanctification process, is this becoming to look more like Jesus if Jesus were us. It's not instantaneous. It happens over our entire lives. So can we slowly, over our whole life, start looking like a good shepherd, look more like Jesus? The fruits of the Spirit is how people will know that we are followers of Jesus. That they will recognize Jesus in us through those fruits of the Spirit. But that starts with a crisis moment, right? Am I showing Jesus by getting pissed off about the stupid stuff that I'm reading online? Nope. Definitely not. Right? Maybe Peter. This would look a little more like Peter. Seems like a grouchy guy. Anything that isn't the fruits of the Spirit isn't of Jesus, right? That's the thief in the night, the robber in the field out there trying to get us, right? This crisis moment is more love and more peace and patience. It's dangerous because the thieves are out there, Wrestlers are out there, and the bears are out there, and the lions are out there, and I don't know about you, I'm not wrestling no bears. Nope, not going to wrestle any bears. Or lions. Good thing we don't have a whole lot of lions in Ontario. That's beneficial for all you camping people. The next song has got this line in it. It says, love is here, love is now. Streams of mercy flowing from his side. That statement, streams of mercy flowing from his side, love is here, love is now, is not a safe statement. Because that statement rests on the injury of the flowing love and grace from Jesus' side when he died on the cross. And love that Jesus has for us is not always safe. Because it means we have to make a decision to change. We have to have a crisis moment. And I want to show that kind of love, a love that accepts the danger and is willing to kind of go, okay, we're just going to take it and give it. I want to give up my old way of doing life, because my old way of doing life doesn't work. I want to follow Jesus and do it as best I can in that direction, because I think that's the only way that our world gets better. So a couple takeaways. Remember the crisis moment. I would love to hear your crisis moment stories. That moment where you're like, nope, I got to make a change in my life. If today or any day is your crisis moment day, let me know. Come and talk to me. I'm phone call away. You're welcome to call me. Please don't call me at 2 o'clock in the morning. I will not answer the phone, but we can talk about your crisis moment at 8 a.m. That would be fine. Right? So I'll pray for everybody, and I'll have, I say the worship team, but Jen and Nathan come back up to the stage, please. Calling to...